All right. Call to order of the Kearney School District Board of Education regular meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Matt Baker.
Here.
Jason Clint.
Here.
Christina Lindsay. Here. Chris Schweitzer. Here. Nick Vasquez.
Here.
Elaine Bailey.
Here. We have a quorum. Adopt, amend the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Recognitions. We have the jazz choir.
Oh, did Mr. McKinney not come?
Mr. McKinney not here?
Oh, lovely.
So we have Delane and Emiliana. Did I say that right? Okay. Well, Delane. Since you're not here, we're going to make you talk.
Oh, wait, hold on. Here he comes.
Oh,
I was out there just waiting.
Never misses a chance to talk to
No, I talk a lot. I apologize, everybody. I see she already got her certificate. I've been standing out there talking to Coach Kroll about state track and all that stuff. They're doing wonderful out there. So I just want to talk a little bit about the All-State Jazz Choir. The All-State Jazz Choir is something that the Missouri Choral Directors Association has been doing for about 8 years now. I have never submitted anybody for this because their deadlines have always been the same week as our solo and small ensemble contest, and I am only one man, and that's a pretty big deal for our program. And so they moved the deadline to April, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to submit kids to this all-state jazz thing. And so to audition for all-state jazz, students from all across the state of Missouri send in recordings, and they have to sing from 2 songs they give them. One is a jazz standard, they sing it like a solo, and then they have to improvise a scat a solo over the top. And scatting is just taking a melody and making your own off the top of your head. It's like a freestyle singing. And then they have to sing their part in a more complex jazz piece of music. So we're talking about extended range harmonies, and I don't want to get too much in the technicalities for fear of losing everybody's attention, but it's hard. And so these kids practice, they come in, they record, we send it in. Across the state of Missouri, they only accept 15 singers into the all-state vocal jazz ensemble. They perform at the Missouri Choral Directors Convention in Springfield in July. And so we sent in 4 auditions this year. We did have 2 people make it. One of those people is out of town today, but it was Delaney Boyd, as you all met already, and Emmy Everhart. So we're really, really proud of them. And this is a big deal for them, and I'm really excited they get to participate in this event. All right.
And sing a solo.
Now we're ready for Coach Kroll and the track team.
So we have some friends with a lot up there as well. Yeah, they're social. Yeah, everybody's having you. You know what? From New York originally.
There's plenty of seats. If there are parents that need to come in, come on in. There's lots of seats over here. It's okay.
You ready, John?
Okay. All right. This past May, these boys standing behind us over here, they went and competed at the state track meet, and again, they had a very successful meet once again. We were able to come home with the 4th place trophy, and for these seniors, and a lot of them are here tonight, but there are some that have already reported to college. There are some on vacations, so a lot of kids aren't going to be able to be here tonight, but I just want to say just briefly how much I'm going to miss them. And I've already did all my crying before with all of them, so I don't have to do it anymore. But I am going to miss these boys tremendously and everything that they've put forth, not only on the track, in the field, but in the classroom, and for the community. And they're going to be amazing young men whenever they grow up. And that's the most important thing, is that, you know, when it comes to education and athletics, is that we do everything we can to raise them to be good young men and be good people and be good fathers and husbands. So they're phenomenal men, and I'm going to miss them tremendously. Just real quick about the season. This was one of those seasons where we had a lot of ups and downs. We had injuries and things that would take place, and we had weather that we had to deal with. It was a lot more than we've had to deal with in years past. And these kids really did step up when those times came. And whenever May hits, we always say, you know, in Kearney, when May hits, those are our meets, you know. So they were able to win their 9th consecutive conference championship this year. They win districts for the 7th time in a row, and we're also able to bring home a top 4 finish for the 5th year in a row. So these seniors have known nothing but success throughout their whole careers when it comes to track, and it's just a testament to them and the hard work that they put in. We are blessed to have youth, you know, with our programs also. You know, not just, you know, in track, but if you look at all the coaches that come throughout the year, we are blessed to be able to have an abundance amount of youth. And standing back here, you see a lot of youth and a lot of kids that got a lot of experience through the year, and they were fantastic. And I can't wait till next year, because we're going to have another successful year ahead of us there. So, without any further ado, do we want to do certificates that way and go that route? Yes. Yes. Well, I'll go ahead and just go through, and I'll just tell you that if they are absent. And we can just set it off to the side, and I can get it to them. That'd be simple. Okay, Aiden Ariano, he is not here this evening. Hudson Best, who is also not here this evening. Jacob Burkemper. Jacob is, come on up.
Oh, I have him wrong on there.
Jacob was a part of our 4x4 team and was also our Open 400. And he is also a part of the school record 4x400 meter relay team. Mr. Cole Burnham. Cole is here. And Cole also, he ran for us in the 4x1. He ran the 4x2. He's run the Open 1. He's run the Open 2. I think last year I even shoved him in an Open 400 just for fun. And he is also a part of our 4x2 school record team, and he's a 2-year All-Stater, and Jacob is a 1-year All-Stater. Mr. Braxton Byram. Braxton is a freshman, and he got a lot of experience. He was a part of our 4x4 team, 4x2, 4x1, Open 1, Open 2. He's kind of a jack of all trades also, and I look forward for the next 3 years with him. Graham Davis is not here this evening. Did Luke make it? There he is. Luke Denston, also a freshman. Luke ran come on up, Luke. Luke ran on our 4x4 team. He's running our 4x2 team, and Open 1s, Open 2s, Open 4s. You know, he's another one. As you can tell, there's 2 freshmen right there that we have a lot of excitement for. Sal D. Benedetto. Sal is a part of our 4x1 new school record this year, and Cole was a part of that. Okay, Braxton, were you a part of that one? Yeah, Braxton was a part of that one, and Grant Nolan was also a part of that one. That has been a record that was broken from 2007, so very exciting to be able to break that one. Mr. Jacob Dillon. Jacob had one heck of a state meet. Jacob finished second in the long jump, and he also finished fourth in the triple jump. He is a young man that his first 2 years, he battled injuries, and his last 2 years, he's just really done a fantastic job. The senior year, he went out, lost weight, did everything he could to dedicate himself to track and field, and I was very proud to watch that young man over this last month do the things that he did, and it was really fun to watch what he had did, and we are definitely going to miss him too. Mr. Cameron Fowler, another freshman. Cameron was part of our 4x800 meter relay team that ran at state, and they took 9th at state. Cameron can also do a lot of different things for us, run the open 8, 16. I don't think I'll ever push him to a 32, but you never know. Mr. Theo Grace, who is not here today, he's up at college already, but Theo, he took second. It was all-state in the javelin, and he's also our school record holder in the javelin, and he also held the state record twice, once for a year and then for about 8 minutes this past year, and then the other kid threw the state record to beat him, so he had one heck of a career. Milo Griffith. Milo was a part of our 4x8 team, and Milo, a conference, I made him run the 1600, and thankful that he did, because every little point counts, and he had a fantastic year himself. Okay, Riley Johnson, who is not here tonight, but he was a senior, and he spent 4 years with us, and we're going to miss him. Jackson Juve, who is not here with us tonight, again, a senior who has given us 4 years, and it was part of our 4x2 team. Deegan Knowles. Deegan is a part of our 4x2 100-meter school record. He is also 2-year All-State in that particular relay, and along with Milo and the other juniors that are Sal, the other juniors that are up here getting ready to be seniors, we are going to be looking forward to their particular leadership. Jack McCabe. Jack was a part of our 4x2 teams. He was a part of our 4x1 teams. And then at the end of the year, it was really surprising. Ran him in the 400 and the 4x4 and did really good, and makes me think over the summer. Mr. Grant Nolan. Grant also is not here tonight. He's up with Theo, and Grant spent 4 years. He was All-State for 4 years, 4x2, 4x4, 300-meter hurdles. He had a tough year with the surgery, but man, he worked his tail off to get himself ready for state, and we really appreciated what he was able to give us, and we'll miss him tremendously. Atlas Owen. Atlas was a part of our 4x8 team. He actually led off our 4x8 team, and we had to make some pretty big challenges to him whenever it came to the start, being able to start fast in that first 200, and he really stepped up in that category and started getting his times under 2 minutes. So really have a bright future for the next 2 years with Atlas. Mr. Reed Perkins, freshman. Reed was a part of our 4x4 teams. Reed was a triple jumper. He is a sprinter. He is a 400 kid. He can do just about anything. Haven't tried him in pole vault yet. No.
Thinking out loud as he's going here.
But Reed's got a bright future with us. Connor Reed, who is not here tonight, he was a part of our 4x4 and 4x8 teams, and he really had a breakout year. Aiden Sully, Aiden came out his senior year, did a fantastic job, made it to state in the high jump, was just, I think 3 centimeters off from being all state in the high jump. Isaac Smith, Isaac was unable to be here tonight, but he's also a 4x8, 16 and 32 kid that he'll be a senior next year, that we are looking forward to his leadership. Ty Smith. Ty is a 2-year All-State. He was a state champion in the discus. This year he was All-State in both the discus and the shot put. And I've said over and over again, and I don't, some kids, when you go through as long as I have, it's like, I don't know if we'll ever have one as good as he is when it comes to the throws. And I'm hoping so, but not yet. Ty's probably the best one that I've been around, and I tell you what, I'm going to miss the heck out of that young man. Caleb Stevens. Caleb just tore everything in his knee. Caleb will do anything you ask of him. It's 4x4, 4x8, open 4, open 8. He's that type of kid that's like, okay, Caleb, I need you to do this. Can you do it? And he's like, I'll do it. And with a smile on his face. So Caleb's he's got a year of getting himself back, and I'm excited for him because, he's going to take on that rehab just as hard as he takes on competition. Mr. Cale Tucking. Cale's not here this evening. He's runs our 4x4s, 300 hurdles. Got him in a pole vault toward the end of the year, and I think he's going to be a pretty good one at that. Mr. Sam Way. Sam is a part of our school record 4x4, All-State in the 300-meter hurdles this year as a sophomore. Sam kind of had a little iffy start with a little knee injury, but again, he works so hard, and I'm looking forward to see what type of career he's going to have his junior and senior year when it comes to track and field and everything else that he wants to do. So really proud of every one of these boys and everything that they've put forth, and thank you guys. Thank all of you for recognizing us here tonight. I do want to thank Mr. David Schwarzenbach and Sheila Drescher. They are retiring, as you know, and they got some big shoes to fill, and I'm sure that we'll be fine. But without their support over the years, we wouldn't be where we are. And the support of the community, especially, and the parents of this great town, I thank them. And hopefully we can be here again next year. Hopefully with a trophy a little bit bigger than that one. But I'll take that one this year. Great job, fellas. Great job.
Two lines, 8 in the back, 7 in the front. Your head is closer to the ceiling. Stand in the back. Okay? Coach, you want to get them straightened out?
Yeah.
Back up a little bit. Back up a little bit. Look towards me. Coach, actually, I think you're okay. Okay, look towards me. All right. Okay, big smile, hang tight. Okay, hang on just 1 second. And then don't go anywhere because I know parents like to get their pictures too, so we'll give them a shot. All right, parents, photos?
Oh, sorry.
Jacob probably should have brought a shade phone tonight, 'cause I don't think he's turned that in.
I mean, they've not seen the agenda before.
We have no public comment tonight, so we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
My comments tonight are going to be very, very brief. This past Monday, I had the opportunity to attend MSBA's Summer Summit, and our very own Dr. Darlene Bailey received the Distinguished Certification Award. That requires 2 other certifications prior to the extensive trainings to go along with that. So appreciate the dedication and commitment. So just wanted to say thank you very much. 2 other recognitions, and I'm sure they're not going to want me to say anything, but I'm going to anyways. David Schwarzenbach, Coach Crawl mentioned will be retiring at the end of this year, and we have 2 other members of our team that this is their last official board meeting. So I just wanted to mention Ginger Elsie. She's been with us for 14 years. What's that? 13, okay, 13 and a half, okay, 13 and a half. And so, you know, Ginger, when she came to the district, she came at a time where we really needed some financial stability. And Ginger really dug in and really provided that. And we have been just so fortunate to have such a consistent, steady fiscal steward over the last 13 and a half years. So I want to thank you, Ginger. So. Our very own Jennifer Kopp, Assistant Superintendent of Academic Services, 25 years, English teacher, assistant principal, director of curriculum, assistant superintendent, has worn many, many hats. So she's left a real significant legacy on this district. When you think about just even the real world learning work and the portrait of a graduate and how that's going to carry forward and how many kids it's impacted and how many future students it will impact. So just want to say thank you. That's my report.
Your report. Okay. My computer's thinking, so next we have consent agenda.
Move that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second?
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to information items. Bonding project update. Mr. Nolan?
So tonight, we have with us Elizabeth Grindy from Newkirk Novak. She's been a project manager on these Kearney projects for at least the last several months, and she is going to report for us tonight.
All right. Thank you guys for having me today. So our trade partners are in full force across the 3 schools. So over here at Dogwood, this is a picture of the interior. So demo is complete and we are working on framing and CMU infills. This is actually even a little outdated as of today. So we're working over overhead rough-in and in-wall rough-in. And over on the exterior, we ran our new storm line and we're getting ready for patchback of asphalt and landscaping. And then over in the media center, we have put down our carpet and we just have specialties to follow. So that space is coming along really nicely. And over at Hawthorne, this is a picture of the expansion over in the collab space. So we've dropped ceiling tile over there and we're cleaning it up and getting ready for casework and finishes. So that is moving right along as well. And then inside and on the exterior, so we have completed demo over at Hawthorne as well. So we're working on interior rough-in and actually putting up drywall and drywall finishes now. And then over on the exterior, if you drive by, you'll see a lot of demo. So we're getting ready to put back that circle drive over in the front. And then over at Kearney Elementary, this is the two-story expansion. We dropped ceiling tiles, we're cleaning up, we've got our casework, and that is getting ready to install with flooring and specialties to follow. And then over in the renovation area, we have completed demo, interior demo, and we are working on putback, so drywall starting up on the second floor, and then we'll keep on following down on the first. This is a picture of the front entry, so we have our curtain wall system up, and we'll get glass in here in the next week or so. And then we're also working on our front demo to put back for asphalt and landscaping. So it's all coming along very nicely. We're all very happy with where it's at right now. Any questions?
The dirt pile that is behind Hawthorne, so it would be on the east side of Hawthorne out on the football field. Remind me, is the plan for that to still be there? And if not, when do we think that that will become less of a pile and be back to normal?
So in the next couple weeks, that's part of what our landscape or our mid-states will be doing, is taking away that dirt pile and all that gravel down that hill. That all goes away, and we'll put fencing back for the playground, and sod goes back. So it'll look like what it did before.
Okay. Youth football practice starts in 28 days, and so I just wanted to make sure.
We'll be ready. There may be cones around the new sod, but we'll be ready.
And Elizabeth, we've got time on the next board meeting day. We'll be taking you around to actually see the facilities.
Yeah, so it'll look completely different even from what we saw today.
There is a lot of dirt being moved around.
There
I see
is.
a lot of that, so that's
A lot of trucks in and out.
a lot of things going on, so that's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, financials? Last time,
Well,
you have to say more word, oh, well, that's true, not almost. Last time on a Wednesday night, how about that?
Correct. In your packet is the May financials. Next Thursday morning, I welcome you to look at our final year-end financials. Our team is working very hard to get everything closed up for the fiscal year, as well as the budget.
Any questions? Thanks for all your work, and I know we're coming right down to the wire, but I know that it's very important that we get as much information as we can so that we make sure we get the budget right and as close as possible. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
And Ginger, right now, year-end fund balance is pretty close to 22%, and we're still doing some work to,
Really close.
Yeah.
Yes.
okay.
Great. Program evaluation, parent, family, and community involvement.
Thank you for giving me some time to share the work of the Communications and Community Relations Program, our accomplishments this school year, and our big rocks moving forward. This overview captures not just activities, but our commitment to fostering meaningful connections across Kearney School District. I'll be using the collective our and we throughout the presentation because while I'm the sole staff member assigned to this department, I do believe that every employee is ultimately responsible for successful communications and engagement. I'm going to move efficiently through the presentation and take questions at the end. Our vision is to equip everyone in KSD to contribute effectively to student success and character development. Our mission emphasizes clarity, quality, and inclusivity. We prioritize open lines of communication, leveraging data-driven tools to support educational excellence and ensure everyone is fully informed. My job is to support our stakeholders, employees, students, parents, partners, and community members. Each group has unique communication needs, and our efforts aim to address those needs effectively and efficiently. Our guiding principles are essential in establishing trust and transparency. Being proactive and strategic ensures that our stakeholders receive timely, accurate information. I believe this work ultimately supports better outcomes across our school system. Effective strategic planning is at the heart of our efforts. We use the R-PI model, research, planning, implementation, and evaluation to maintain a structured, measurable approach to achieving our objectives. Financially, our budget reflects the strategic choices that enhance our communication capabilities. Those investments include the salary and benefits for my position. There was increased spending on postage for our district magazine, increased spending for School Messenger, Qualtrics, and the Remind app. We were also able to thoughtfully use our resources for high-quality experiences, like our convocation keynote speaker, Jaron Myers, and our staff appreciation efforts. I take a very practical and direct approach to measuring success. This department should be having a direct and positive impact on the core work of the district. That means evaluating key indicators like staff retention, student outcomes, and community engagement. We are committed to providing comprehensive services from emergency communications to celebrating student and staff achievements. This wide-ranging support demonstrates our dedication to positive engagement across KSD and down to the classroom level. Internally, we provide robust support through initiatives like our staff appreciation efforts, enrollment campaign, process action teams, key messaging and materials, student engagement, and strategic executive council. The goal is always to reinforce and amplify the work that's being done by our teammates. We also keep the horizon clearly in view with 3 long-term goals. We want to be systematic and strategic. We want to ensure that every message and campaign is part of a larger intentional framework rather than one-off responses. We want broader engagement. We want to create more ways for students, staff, families, partners, and residents to roll up their sleeves and work alongside us towards achieving educational excellence. And we want to be a top-tier district, a top-choice district. We want to deliver such high-quality communications and community relations that KSD is the natural first pick for families in the Kansas City region. Among our recent accomplishments, we completed essential actions such as enhancing our annual survey, improving and updating our classroom observation form, identifying and implementing a new comprehensive communications platform, successfully facilitating complex public engagement processes like the elementary boundary adjustments. Okay, so looking forward, our future goals include the full implementation of Parent Square, launching new websites, developing a better structure for customer service and support, and initiating a communications internship program to deepen student engagement. Additionally, I'm very excited to help coordinate the celebrations for Kearney School District's 150th anniversary that will be starting next year. Ultimately, our success is defined by genuine community engagement, ensuring that every stakeholder feels heard, supported, and empowered. That requires a team effort. So I want to say thank you to Executive Administrative Assistant Becky Burkemper for her extraordinary efforts on behalf of this department. She goes above and beyond every day. I want to thank Dr. Miller for her trust and leadership. I want to thank my fellow cabinet members for their generous collaboration. And last but not least, I want to thank you all for your work, your generosity, your selfless spirit, and for continuing to partner and support the critical work we do in this department. I think you can see the result in these pictures. The work we do is important and it has a lifelong impact. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Ray, you do an incredible job. I don't have a question. I just want you to know that what you've done over the last 4 or 5 years. How long have you been here?
I am entering my 5th year. Finished 4th and going into 5.
Yeah, you have done a great job. So thank you for your effort and your dedication to this district.
Appreciate that.
Ray, do you want to give them an update on Parent Square? That was a massive initiative that you undertook.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very, very happy with our buy-in with Parent Square. We have our coaches are by and large up and running. We've got a bunch of them that already have groups for their teams that they're utilizing for our fall sports and even in some cases their summer camps. We essentially soft launched the app for our summer school, and so we're utilizing that for all of those parents. If you have kids in the summer school program, you should be receiving messages through that method. Last time I checked, so one of the things that we're going to be clarifying for folks is we really want all of our users to get in and what's called register their accounts with Parent Square. By doing that, then they get access to the full suite of features that are available through that. Right now, we have about 67% of our staff have registered their accounts, and more or less 50% of our parents have registered their accounts. Now this is, mid-June. We launched this process about a month ago. We'll start taking a little closer look at those parent numbers in July, but I'm very happy with where things stand.
Ray, I noted you gave us faculty numbers there and you gave us parent numbers there. Are there any members of the school board who have not registered their account, and would you like to take this moment to shame them?
I refuse to answer the question for fear of implicating myself.
As the only school board member who no longer has a child in the district, I will,
She outed herself. I knew it.
I'm the only one. That you all had to do it, or not had to, but to know what's going on, right?
I was excited to.
So the long-term process you talked about, we've heard before about really connecting with people who don't have a direct connection with the school district, but still keeping them informed. That seems to be the sticky wicket. So how do you actually accomplish that? What does that look like?
Sure. So one of the things that we're going to be doing that actually we'll be talking about here in a couple minutes will be bringing in some outside support to help with that process. I think Parent Square is one of the answers to that. I think there's opportunities to encourage folks to get to become users of that platform.
Okay.
We have the ability to have folks that are, as I like to say, outside of our bubble to come in and be able to get access to that tool. So we're going to continue to push that. I've done some pretty extensive work with a local vendor to generate a very, very, very accurate list of our residents to the point where he actually went out and actually drove our boundaries, like literally drove our boundaries to identify those households, make sure that we had everybody on that list in terms of a mailing list. And so we'll be getting more support from that person as we move forward with some mailings that we're going to be doing to reach those folks. So we're also going to be, I think, with our websites, I think there'll be some opportunities there to provide a more attractive, engaging experience for folks to be able to direct them there. So yeah, it's going to be a multi-tiered approach. There's no single solution.
Well, and you also created a listserv for patrons who wanted to sign up for it. It's just hard to get people connected to sign up for it. So
Yeah.
it's a work in progress.
Yeah, and I think with some of the initiatives that we're going to be moving forward with, like for instance our 150th anniversary, like that'll be a good opportunity, I think, to really reach everybody in the community and get them involved in that.
Yeah, even just connecting with community groups, showing up to their meetings. Here it is, let's do it right now.
Yeah.
While you're here.
He's been very thoughtful about thinking strategically, and customer service
Yeah.
is a big deal for Ray.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Budget update.
Okay, the budget update is that we will basically be reviewing year-end, as Ginger mentioned, on June 26th in the morning. We will also be doing our FY26 budget at the same time with Ginger's position in transition. The goal was really to try to finalize this year's budget as accurately as FY26 would mirror as we start the new fiscal year. And I think that will help Doug Schwinn transition into his new position. So I appreciate the grace and patience on that while we continue to work through that. So more to come next week.
Okay, next, the approval of the agreement with Clay County Children's Fund.
Move to approve the agreement with Clay County Children's Fund as presented.
Second?
This isn't to say that any of these programs are good, bad, or otherwise, but it was alarming to me when I read that $792,000 is what we're getting in support from the Children's Fund. And the reason that's alarming to me is as they note in the second paragraph there that this is less than it was, that they essentially allude to what I believe is the fact that sales tax goes up and down, right? Sometimes you have more sales tax, sometimes you have less sales tax. We're in an environment where we could potentially have the Royals coming in and asking for a tax increase, which would push some stuff out. So I just note it because, we need to think in terms of sustainability. And so I worry that we're going to get ourselves into a Sophie's Choice here, where we're going to have good programs, but if there is a budget cut a budget shortfall of some point, we're going to have to figure out either cut that program or we're going to have to cut other programs to pay for it. And so I just was surprised by the amount of money. And so I just, as we have other programs, I think keeping that in mind. I know that we all sometimes view this as free money. I don't believe it is free money. It's money that's paid for by taxpayers as every time they buy something in Clay County. And so I think we need to be smart about how we're spending this money and how we're thinking about it.
Sure. And it's a 2-year grant, Jennifer, is that correct?
This is the second year.
The second year of a 2-year grant. We feel very fortunate that we receive these funds, and we try to be very thoughtful about their application. And we do have the ability to reevaluate and reassess needs. And to your point, a couple of years ago, we were in that situation where we were looking at a reduction, and we had to go through and prioritize what we needed to, where do we place those resources. So I think we're always mindful of that, and your point's well taken.
Without knowing exactly how it all works too, I would feel better if the way this worked was more of the board on the front end understood where we were going with some of these ideas and some of these programs, and that we went to the children's fund to see if that was something that they would be interested in paying for. I think the test here is, would you pay for this absent the grant? Absent the money coming from them, is this something we want to invest in? And so I don't know how the process works now, I admit that, but I feel like it'd be better if the board had better sense of it on the front end, and then we went out to get the money on the back end, because in this instance coming up, I feel like I'm almost being handed something, and I have to figure out right now, is it good, is it bad, or otherwise. So again, I just was surprised by the amount, didn't realize it was that much, and so I just want to raise that as that there are potential. It's great, to your point, that it's great to have the support. I don't want to say that, but I am mindful of what that could mean financially in a bad year.
Yeah, it allows us to apply our resources to our academic program, and then allows us to use this for more support services. And so what we can do is, moving forward, grant application will be next year. That'll be year 1 of the 2-year grant, and we'll just keep the board informed. We moved away from the board approving all grants, so this is the board's approving of the actual agreement, but we can definitely let you know where the application will be as we start year 1. Is that what you're asking? Just so you have a better idea of
Better
support
sense, and
services?
then
Yep.
just for the board's knowledge of kind of, hey, you've got a bogey out there if things go bad.
Okay.
And I will tell you, the majority of the funds right now go to individual and group therapy, as well as behavior intervention. It would be a loss to lose those things, but the money really isn't so much paying for programs that we have as much as it is just for student support. We have lots of kids in need in the district, and that is where the majority of those dollars go.
And so to apply for the grant, do we have to list out how we're going to spend the money to them, down to the dollar?
Yes. And this year it was a little bit different. This year they actually told us how much money they were looking at. The facilitator of the grant administrator, she said, this is what I believe we will be able to give you. So work your budget to fit this. And then it did go to their board for approval. So it was a little bit different this year.
And perhaps this could be something in a future workshop that would be an opportunity for board members to have a better understanding of how this works.
Well, and the other thing we talked about a couple months ago is we've talked about doing a Tier 1 behavior protocol, kind of a research team to kind of look at behavior interventions for Tier 1, and this ties to Tier 2 and 3, and we could probably package all that together when we bring those recommendations forward.
I think as we go into the approval of another grant, hearing how the behavior analyst and the behavior implementer, I know we heard it from the principals from the elementary side, how is it impacting the students and the principals and the teachers to be able to support those kids?
Okay. We have a principal here that could probably speak directly to that.
We
if
have,
you're-
we have both of the
Oh, yes,
principals.
that's right.
that-
I know we heard a little bit about it from Kearney Elementary the last time, but it was great to hear the impact that it's having, a positive impact.
Would you like to take a moment and, sure. Dr. Miller, Dr. Masker?
So just working from 2 years ago to this year, the major change in my building was RBT, Registered Behavior Technician, that was funded through Clay County Children Fund. So that person primarily ran a support schedule throughout the course of the day. So what we were able to do is we were able to be more proactive with our student needs over the course of our day. A lot of built schedules with those students, and instead of me reacting to the behavior in the classroom, that person was able to know the trigger time for that individual student, and then she had a populated schedule over the course of the day, drastically decreased my behavior logs over the course of the year. So that one individual made my life a lot easier. So that's just one example of it. Individual therapy is another thing that I see a big impact of, more so than the group therapies even. Group therapies are great, but we have some kids that have a lot of trauma in life and need that one-on-one opportunity that we don't have necessarily in-house otherwise. And they have to go through a list of requirements in order to receive those services. Like they have to seek those therapy opportunities outside of school prior to coming into being on that list of students. So things like that help us be more proactive so that I'm not reacting to behavior all day.
So a lot of similarities for Mitch as well. So I got a behavior interventionist through Summit who is housed in our building. He has his own classroom there. And so to kind of back up a little bit, historically, we had a best teacher or like a behavior type teacher, and due to some absorptions, we no longer had that staff member for this school year. We had some transfers, we had some kids coming in with some well-known type behaviors, and so we leaned on our behavior interventionist to help observe those kids, work through some strategies, push into our team meetings with teachers to give them kind of that proactive feature like Mitch is talking about. And really, he just did a lot of good, and some teachers maybe didn't see it all that well. I know that from an administrative and counseling standpoint, we did. And it eventually got to a point where we weren't hearing anything from some of these kids, and we're like, are we getting punked right now? Like, is everything good? And so eventually this spring, this individual started to visit more elementary schools because there was an identified need there as well. And I think that presented some challenges in itself, but I think there was also some successes there. So being just 1 year with the behavior interventionist, I've got a short list of things that I'd like to shore up on my end. I know that I've started to talk with Dr. Utek as well with her experience in that realm, but really it was a good benefit for our building, and I think a lot of kids benefited from that as well. So
His title is actually a board-certified behavior analyst, and so his training is really about designing effective student plans. And he's really mindful about making them useful for classroom teachers to adapt and modify or include in their classrooms.
it's a very, very valuable resource for us.
And you might talk to him about your kiddo that came in from another district.
Yes, so this was like a real success story. We had a student come in from a neighboring district who, was very challenging. This student didn't spend any time in the general ed classroom, was very much isolated during the day, and so we were very proactive in having some conversations with administrators and their behavior interventionists, and it was a little disheartening at first because what they had shared was, we tried everything, and we did not meet any success on any level. And I was like, oh, man. And then we're like, well, they're coming, so we've got to do all we can to prepare. And our behavior interventionist, like, I don't know. I can't put into words the impact that he had on this student, that they became very social. They went to class. Now, they had some hiccups, and we had to use some restraint training at times, you know, but overall, that was a very, very big success story for the year, and I was very proud of the work that we had done. I say we,
And
that
so
this person
that
had
kiddo
done.
ends up in class, getting instruction instead of spending all their time in trouble, so.
So much so that they, you know, they had a person with them all day, every day. They may not need a person with them all day, every day next year. And it's like, that's progress, right? So.
But to your point, we have done it without, I think that what these things do is they just remove obstacles for teachers and help us be a little bit more proactive. We can do without, it's just harder to do so in certain realms.
And those individuals, are they contracted on a 1-year basis or a 2-year basis?
1 year.
So are they coming back next year, both of them?
Yes.
Good.
If you approve the agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments? We ready to vote? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next, agreement with Hope Squad.
Move to approve the agreement quote with Hope Squad for grades 6 through 7 as presented.
I think we have some presentation for this or some
Yeah,
questions?
so just wanted to bring this back to you. I believe we had Amanda presented a couple months ago, and then we brought it back for the board to vote, and there were some outstanding questions, and it was a 3-3 decision. We're bringing this back. We just do feel there's value. We feel there's value grades 4 through 7. And just being fully transparent, I understand there's concerns as discussed with grade implementation for grades 4 through 5. You had some questions, and Amanda took some time and effort to really kind of go through and walk through those. Turn it over to Amanda.
Good evening. It's good to see you all again. For new members I've not met, my name is Amanda Texter, and I'm one of the district social workers. I'm joined tonight by Sherry Miller from Beacon Mental Health over there, Erin Thomasma, who's the Dogwood and Kearney Middle School social worker, Erin McMains, the Kearney Junior High counselor, Dr. Dan Miller here, Kearney Middle School principal, and Dr. Mitch Masker. I was so excited for his doctorate. We know from watching the April board meeting, there were some concerns and hesitations about this program from half the board. Diversity and opinion encourages us to consider all points of view before making big decisions. I wanted to take this opportunity to let you know your voices were heard. We did some research to get some answers to your concerns. Despite my feelings on the program, I really tried to listen to where various people were coming from and could understand some of the hesitations, as I would have the same thoughts if I wasn't doing this work daily. I humbly request you listen to this information tonight with an open heart and mind to hear an alternative perspective. Oh, you know what? This is the wrong presentation. Sorry, guys. So
I could share the right one with you, maybe, if that works. Okay.
Thank you
just
so
keep
much.
going.
Okay. So the next slide, as you'll see in a little bit, is just kind of the nuts and bolts of the program. I won't spend a lot of time on this piece, as most of you were present at the meeting when Sherry Miller from Beacon and I presented about the program in March. But for new folks here, this is a quick recap of the program we are talking about called Hope Squad. So once it gets up, you'll see the nuts and bolts. But the graphic that you don't see on the screen gives a clear synopsis of the nuts and bolts of what the program does. The program is a peer-to-peer model that has adult facilitators. Kids will participate in 1 to 2 trainings each month for about an hour total. There's also a school-wide awareness program that students lead. For example, assemblies, color runs, a community gathering of some kind to raise awareness. Today, it has developed into a large evidence-based program that is used by thousands of schools in the United States and Canada, including several districts in the Northland. The awesome thing about this program is it'll be paid for by the Clay County Children's Fund, so no money out of the district's pocket, and it's no extra burden on teachers. It's the adult facilitators that will get the incentive compensation that are responsible for all aspects of the program. Children will not be pulled from core instructional time for these lessons. It will be either before or after school, during lunch period, or during seminar time. And that's by default because most of the, well, I shouldn't say most, some of the facilitators will be teachers, so they can't be pulled out of their lesson times. So when we initially presented this program to you, we just had a vague theme of what would be discussed. So I hope you all had the opportunity to look at the lesson plans for a more in-depth review from the email you were sent from Hope Squad when they allowed temporary access to see greater programming samples. If you didn't have the opportunity to look at that, I did take in-depth notes on the following slides to show you what exactly the nominated peers would be learning about in lesson time. Just some quick general notes up here from what I noticed when looking at the slides. So as you can see, each lesson has a clear overview of what the student is learning and why. Lessons have different time allotments, which I thought was really nice because if it is like an after-school program, it could be done longer versus like if it's at school or lunchtime, it would only be like 20 minutes. Each lesson comes with a PowerPoint presentation for the facilitator to share with students and guidance on what material will be needed. And it gives age-appropriate books as well, which I thought was really cool for leaders to look at. It offers a parent manual for squad member parents so they can get an overview of what their child is learning and how to support their child during this leadership opportunity. It also offers post-vention resources. So if our worst nightmare happens, it really gives great guidance on how to respond to a student suicide. It also offers a portal for ideas and resources. And then Hope Squad informed me, because it wasn't on but I asked, and they said they have 2 more years of programming at elementary, 3 for the middle, and 4 for high school. So students will never have the same lesson twice. That was one of my questions when I was looking at it. So what you saw in the email was just a sample of one of the years that they would offer. And as we're going to talk about on the next slides, the lesson strands are divided into different, the lesson topics are divided into different strands. So the first strand is the core nuts and bolts of the program. This focuses on the structure and process of being a Hope Squad member and team building. This is where there's a lesson on identification and warning signs of suicide in an age-appropriate manner. As you can see this slide from here, suicide is a greater focus and goes into more detail the older the student gets. This is a sample of what middle schoolers would learn. We know more in-depth conversations are occurring at this age among peers, and so this allows students the needed knowledge for how to respond. And I'm sorry, I know there's like a ton of text on these slides. Hopefully you've received it. Yes.
Well, I've attached it in the agenda now, so if you refresh your screen, you should be able to look at it. If you
so what I did is I went through for those, if you didn't have an opportunity to already go through the samples that they gave us, I literally went through one by one and kind of like repeated what they put on there. So my apologies if you didn't get this prior. So this section, as you can see, discusses strengthening skills on being a good listener, supporting others, maintaining healthy relationships, qualities such as trustworthiness and setting good boundaries. Students learn to build supportive and respectful relationships with emphasis on speaking with trusted adults when challenges arise. This next strand of lessons is called Cultivating Empathy. It speaks to the importance of embracing everyone for who they are and treating everyone with respect. Lessons focus on understanding and appreciating each person's unique qualities and fostering empathy and kindness. It encourages students to create welcoming and supportive environments for themselves and others. The next strand of lessons is about developing resilience. So change is an inevitable part of life, whether it's transitioning to a new grade, adapting to new routines, or facing a new challenge. Change can bring excitement and uncertainty. This lesson strand focuses on the importance of being adaptable and open to change, and recognizing that it often brings opportunities for resilience, growth, and learning. This next lesson And so each time the kids meet, like for example with elementary year, like one session might be all about boundaries, and when they meet again, it's using your strength. So it's to create like the whole year of what you would be doing. So these lessons foster, that you can see up here, self-awareness and the importance of maintaining physical and emotional well-being through healthy habits, encouraging self-care, managing stress, expressing feelings, and encouraging others to do the same. The last lesson strand focuses on various forms of bullying, its impact, and it emphasizes the importance of seeking help from trusted adults and encouraging positive, respectful behavior for bullying intervention. So my colleagues and I believe the importance of this program for a variety of reasons. First, I want to draw our attention to some statistics which I wish were untrue, but are not. As you can see from this slide, suicide is the second leading cause of death for children ages 10 to 14, and the third leading cause of death in children ages 15 to 24. When we're talking about why this program matters and is instrumental at the elementary level, it's because the reality is a child is typically 10 years old in either 4th or 5th grade. This is a ripple effect tragedy we have the opportunity to put an evidence-based program in place to do something about. Our kids are not living in the same reality that you and I grew up in. The world is faster and busier, and children are exposed to more with technology. I read a statistic recently from Common Sense Media that 42% of kids have a phone by age 10. By age 12, it's 71%. By age 14, it's 91%. So their exposure level to social media is something happening earlier, and thus greater exposure to things that impact their self-esteem and create anxiety and mental health issues. I just read The Anxious Generation. If you haven't read that book, you should. Jason, have you read it? Okay. So it encourages, I just read The Anxious Generation and encourage you to read it too for more info on this area. It's truly eye-opening as to why we are having a mental health crisis among our youth at an unprecedented rate. A few other statistics coming from the Center for Disease Control that were heartbreaking but eye-opening as to why this program is needed that I found. One looked at emergency room visits for children ages 10 to 14 for non-fatal self-injury. From 2010 to 2020, there was an 188% increase in ER visits by girls and 48% increase in visits from boys. In looking at suicide rates for adolescents, which this specific study named kids ages 10 to 14, from 2010 to 2020, there was a 91% suicide increase for boys and 167 increase in rate for girls. A big piece of this program is building empathy and standing up for bullying and in addition to addressing suicide. Red Card is a local movement created by Children's Mercy Hospital and Sporting KC to bring awareness and support to bullying. We know bullying can create high levels of stress, isolation, and lead to suicidal ideation. If you are a part of keeping Kearney informed or any other kind of social media, I commonly hear our community parents expressing concern about bullying, even prompting them to homeschool when things get so bad. I can tell you from my lived experience as an elementary school social worker, it's very common every year at each school to spend some time addressing the mean girl drama. And we really see that behavior starting to emerge in these age brackets. I love that this program emphasizes proactively how to curb bullying and create leaders that stand up to this and shift the culture of bullying to respect and inclusion. So these results on the screen are from Clay County. So this is our county. I appreciate the board's concern about not putting extra burden on children, as that is something no one ever wants. I believe this program does just the opposite, though. As a social worker, my job is to offer resources and listen to parents, but not make decisions about children on a parent's behalf. Parents should get to decide if they want their children involved in this program. I was speaking to a friend recently who said her child, if they happen to be asked to be a leader in this program, she knows he wears his heart on his sleeve, and she said she'd be too worried about him being a leader. And that is okay. That is her choice. Our job is to offer this program knowing that parents know their children best and knowing what they can handle. Another parent I spoke with felt like she would love to have her child in this program, as peers are coming to that kiddo all the time, and she loves the village approach of how it's not just her guiding her son on what to do. As you can see on this slide, students are not left out in the wind to handle these situations, and Hope Squad annual survey received positive feedback from parents and student leaders. So what I want to leave you with is some real-life examples of what happened at Kearney School District this year. Why I am called to come to you tonight is because suicidal ideations happen at the elementary level. Cruelty and bullying is happening, and we have the power to implement a program that is proven to do something about it. This light bulb man in the depiction for the aha moment for me happened this year on why this program is so crucial. So this year I was alerted to and responded to 2 different situations, both at elementary schools, in addition to several others, but these 2 particular stood out to me. In one case, a peer found a suicide note a student had written, and in another case, a peer went home and told their parent about a child talking about suicidal ideations at school. Both situations involved cases where school counselors, a school social worker, or a therapist was already involved in these cases, but none of them had any idea that these kids were having these thoughts or feelings. Thanks to the brave peers from whom either someone confided in or another who knew what to look for, those thoughts were able to be addressed and lives potentially saved. I am thanking my lucky stars that these brave kids had the courage to talk to adults when something was wrong. However, children do not always report. One middle school counselor wrote to me and said, "Upon reviewing my records, I noted that in approximately half the cases I assessed for suicide, I became aware of the student's struggles only because a peer came forward after the individuals disclosed suicidal ideation to them. In several instances, I learned that other peers were aware of these concerns but chose not to come forward, often out of fear of betraying their friends' trust." The other middle school social worker told a haunting story where she said that in one instance, a peer came forward because they were worried about a classmate they hadn't talked to that day after the classmate said they were going to kill themselves. The classmate had said this after she met with the child. The classmate had said this up to 4 people, and only one had come forward to tell her. So that is why this program matters. It equips students who are already having these conversations know what to do. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Dan Miller.
So first off, I just want to recognize the work that Amanda has done with this. I know she's not alone. I know Jennifer's had a hand in it in addition to some counselors and some other social workers. I'll be the first to admit, I know that we've had some conversations about Hope Squad previously. I was a little bit disappointed when it didn't pass. I'll just be honest with you guys. I'm wrapping up my 2nd year here as principal at the middle school. And you know, we did some interviews earlier this week, and a candidate asked, "What's a typical day look like at the middle school?" And I thought, well, how much time do you have? That a lot of these things that Amanda spoke to, they are happening, and they're not happening with every kid, right? But I would say the counseling office, the administrative office, with some of these challenges, whether they're emotional, social, if you're talking about suicide, bullying, meanness, I mean, it's almost an everyday thing. And so knowing about this program, knowing that it is reputable, we've even had some neighboring districts that have seen some success with it. I've lived my entire education career with the mantra of we can always be doing more, right? And so in my 2 years as principal thus far, we've tried a couple different things, some in-house, some out-of-house programs, and they've had some benefits to them, but they haven't necessarily been the best fit for us just yet. And so I did not go to this training. I sent my assistant principal in addition to some other staff members, and the stuff that they had brought back, like, we were jacked about it, and we already had some stuff working, planning we could do this, we could do this. So again, I'm appreciative of bringing this back and just revisiting this because I do think that it's important. And wholeheartedly, I stand here before you today in support of this program as an advocate for it, just echoing a lot of the same things that Amanda has to say for it. So I didn't write anything down. Was there any? I think really just, I think this would be a good thing. I think for our sake, the counselors that serve Kearney Middle School are rock stars. I have all the confidence in the world that they will implement this program and do it well. I just think that there's a lot of benefit to it, and I think it's something that we should really employ.
Are there any questions or concerns you guys have for us?
talk to me about when a student is picked and how that is then, parents are then asked or told that their student, is it, or can it be, I want the parents to know before the student knows? Does that make sense? Because if the parent is not excited or has concerns, to then have the student come and be like, well, I was picked, like, why can't I do this? Like, that
Absolutely.
creates a little bit more of an issue. So can
Sherry, are you
we,
aware of the details on that?
You would be able to choose how you want to do it as a district. Schools do it differently, and based on the level of kids, they do it differently. So at the high school, typically, yes, those kids know. Middle schools, again, they would primarily tell the kids, or they'd bring it together, a celebration, and parents would immediately know. But that's because a lot of information's already been also got out, so parents know about the program, they know what it looks like. Elementary, we have schools do it in a variety of ways. So it's kind of up to you as a district and your building people to decide how they would want to do that.
Bree, I see, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to overstep. I see your point, though, of like, you don't want to have a kid get really excited and the parent be like, I'm not actually comfortable with that. So
Right.
I think you raise a really good point of how we would probably want to structure that, where the parents are made aware first, and then they get to decide if they want their child to participate in this or not.
The only other thing I'd really like to emphasize is, I know suicide is thrown out there a lot. I've worked with this program now for about 5 years. Elementary and middle, suicide is not the primary thing that's discussed. It is not the main focus. We have a 6th grade building in North Kansas City, and their whole focus is on kindness. I don't even know if they, do their youth Hope Squad kids get trained in what to watch for? Yes. But that is not the message that's out in the building. The message out in the building is about how do we be kind, how do we be resilient, how do we treat others with respect. I see someone sitting by themselves at recess, they're not going to be alone. I see someone at lunch. So the focus, again, is also how the buildings and how you choose to implement that. Is peer-to-peer suicide ideation is that something? Yes, is that the program? Yes, but that's because it is really relevant. I think that is what's happening. Our kids have to identify. And then those kids also say, oh my gosh, like now I know what to do. But there is leeway in how your buildings and your district determine to implement it at those various levels.
Kind of questions? I know the motion before us now is 6 and 7, but Dr. Masker, how did I do? I said it right. Could you talk about your thoughts about it at the elementary level and talk to us a little bit about that since you're here?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. So I look at it as another leadership opportunity. It's an umbrella of leadership opportunities for kids. So I was very reluctant at the beginning to think of using certain verbiage with our elementary students. Still would be a little bit regarding certain lessons, but I look at student sense of belonging and student opportunities as the umbrella. Student council, various leadership opportunities that we do within our buildings, and then Hope Squad would fit into that as well. So I would not have a vision of this being a big thing at all in the elementary building. It would be another area of opportunity to give kids leadership opportunities to step up when they see things that are not what they should be. So it would be, in my eyes, different than a little bit more of a program in the middle school level.
Can I say one more thing about curriculum? You guys saw a lot of pieces up there, and I apologize. Is that okay that I say one more thing about curriculum? On each of those strands, you don't have to teach every one of those. One is required because throughout the year, you have a meeting a month that's really talking about curriculum, but then the kids are doing other things and they're implementing school-wide and they're putting positive notes around and they're doing whatever they choose. So you're really only looking at maybe 6 to 8 lessons throughout the year. And again, building level has the ability to say, yeah, we're not okay with this one, let's do this and this and this and this. So there's a lot of leeway. Yes, they have to teach one for each of those core,
For me, as anything that we implement, it has to be seamless and it can be baby stepped into. It has to fit what we're already doing. So we would ensure that it did that so that it didn't impact anything else we've got in place that works.
So what you're already doing, it was brought to us about the Respect campaign. Where will that go now? Like where is that at now?
Be simultaneous to me with this thing. So that has kind of, based on the year, the weight of staff that jump on board to take things on. It kind of fits into our responsive discipline with teachers, our building structures, our STAR, our BARK, our respectful, responsible, safe, depending on the building. The Respect campaign and the aspects of it kind of fit into our systems already. We don't talk at the building level about the Respect campaign clearly necessarily as much anymore. I envision Hope Squad being something similar. It would be another group of leaders that would emphasize the things that we're already doing.
Hope Squad, actually, I mean, it's that focus on character. This puts more structure around that. Respect campaign, I mean, Jennifer and Academic Services did a lot of great work putting that message out. This provides structure to it.
I have a couple questions. I'm 99% certain this is not the case, but if I don't ask it, I can't be 100% certain. So there are elementary schools where they are asking students who are the top 3 people most likely to commit suicide, and they write them down, and then if like more than 2 are on them, they bring them in. That's not what you're doing here, right? You're not asking students to point out other things. It's just when they see something, kind of say something, for lack of a better word, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, Jason. So how this works is like at the beginning of the year, the end of the year, depending upon how we structure it, if it's approved, what would come is like everybody has, well, first of all, the staff who lead this will get training on how to do this appropriately and according to all the standards. But they ask the kids, who do you talk to? Who are like important people in your classroom that you really respect and you feel like you talk to? And then based on whoever the top kids are with that, those are the ones that get nominated. But no, they're getting these lessons on like the different social emotional things. And then they're just kind of like the eyes and ears, if you will, as a part of like all the other layers. So does that answer your question?
It does. I'm 100% sure now. I just wanted to make sure I was 100% sure.
Thanks for asking.
Well, I have another question.
Yes.
So I think this is a 1-year program. I think if I read that in the write-up, or at least would have to come back to this board. So a year from now or less, you'll come back to this board, or someone will come back to this board, and they'll say, "Hey, Hope Squad, and we want to renew it, and it's great, and everybody loves it." How will I know that it worked? What are my measurables to say, aha, this is what worked? How will I know that this is different than that? Maybe this is the greatest program since sliced bread, but how will I know that?
I think it boils down to, well, it would be a baseline year, right? So I think in a baseline year, it's students reporting. I mean, I think that would be a great place to start. How much information did we find out that we would not have known otherwise?
There's a pre-survey that kids do, and then there's a post-survey. And you're right, Dr. Miller, hopefully you're gonna have more referrals, and that's what you want. And no suicide, no major incidences, no major issues, because how you know that it works is by measuring your schools and their attitudes and the students, and the pre and post surveys in regards to, like Dr. Miller says, you're gonna have referrals, you're gonna have baseline, you're gonna have the attitudes of the kids.
Am I measuring the same kids year over year, or am I measuring the sixth graders every year?
Cohort versus.
Right. You're gonna get pre and post surveys from all of those, so you would have, and then Hope Squad takes the data, and then they go by, typically it's your cohort, so the same kids are gonna get measured, because the pre and post survey is not gonna be successful, so it's the same kids.
How are these surveys different than the panorama that we already do? And what are we doing with that data that we've been getting now for years? Like, how is this different?
Panorama. Well, so we know we've got a team that's going to explore Panorama to make sure, is that the right survey for us to continue? I don't know the answer to that regarding the two surveys.
But then you're gonna see it through the other data that you get in relation to the student survey. Hopefully, you're gonna see decreases in the kids that felt hopeless. Hopefully, you're gonna see decreases in the kids that felt sad and didn't want to come to school and were missing. Hopefully, you're gonna see decreases in the rural areas of the Missouri student survey. So I would hope that you're gonna see and what schools are seeing are decreases in those areas. And that's how they also know Missouri student surveys.
So then, in that respect, then we would see hopefully an improvement on Panorama survey or even our district survey.
Is there a tracking of the number of referrals that occur?
So I don't know if that's an official part of Hope Squad, but I would like to do that. Like, I want to see, like Jason is saying, is this program successful or not at all? And so what I would envision is we already keep data, like when a student comes to us who has suicidal ideations, we have a safety assessment that we complete, and we give one copy to our building administrator and one to the counselor. So like there's already record of kids that we are seeing. I think we could easily add a thing to that was like, was this referred because of a Hope Squad student brought it to us? So we could easily get data for that, Jason.
I just want to add, when kids bring issues forward, it's not just on suicide. I mean, it's abuse, it's neglect, it's food deprivation. I mean, there are concerns in this district that I just, what can come forward is important, multiple areas.
I mean, I do see the value even in the elementary schools. I know one of my children, they had a friend, they didn't have any clothes. She comes home, packs a bag of clothes and takes it to school. So I do think those types of areas, it's valuable. I think, like Dr. Masker said, how do we not just focus on suicide, but how do we focus on the character building?
Which is my question, like, why is there a focus for the Hope Squad and not like unified? This is what we're gonna do, K-5, all buildings, here's a curriculum, here's what we want to focus on, and see that go all the way through.
If I understand it correctly, I think it's both. I think it's the Hope Squad. They get more specific training, but I also think there's community-wide activities, like the color run in Smithville. So I think they do that as a school to raise awareness.
I'm not sure that answered my question.
Okay, what was your
Like
question? 'Cause it's-
unified, like everybody doing the same, like if this
You're
is
talking
a
like a tier
focus.
1 counseling.
Yeah, like if we're not in place for tier 1, why are we getting it? That's not opposed to Hope Squad, it's like the philosophical, I don't understand that, which is kind of your, talking about, like, how does it all fit? I don't understand that.
I think it's just a separate strategy. I think your counseling units will still target those same lessons, similar. We're going to want kids to report, but what we're trying to do
But we don't
is-
have that now, right?
I believe we have counseling units that address that as well.
No, that's all focused, formalized, everybody's doing the same thing, if suicide and these things are the focus. I just want to know if it's through the district.
Our elementary does not focus on suicide, on their counseling lessons. They're more, character traits in their counseling lessons.
We do not have a consistent program between buildings. That's what.
That's what I'm
That's
asking.
what, yeah.
We are,
And why are we doing that first?
we have a plan in place in the first semester of this year to work towards that, but we do not currently.
What they do, the elementary counselors, they are all working on the same character traits, like they worked on the one trait for the first month, another trait for the second. They're not giving the same lessons, but they are working on the same traits throughout the year.
And then what's nice about Hope Squad is like it's really the peer-to-peer piece that's currently missing in our district, is like giving those natural leaders guidance on how to respond so they don't feel like in the wind and really unsure, if that helps.
I think we're just talking about, we've got Panorama, we've got Respect Campaign, we've got a lot of things going on. And I just want to make sure we can land the plan and make sure we're all moving in the same direction.
Sure. And
It's
selectively
not
abandoned, right?
specific to you all, or the work you've done or Hope Squad at all. It's, you guys are doing great work. I'm not saying that. I'm not against students. I'm saying, how do we get this all
I think I want them all
going in the
linked.
right
Like, I think I
direction?
want them all
Right.
to across, I mean, just like we do reading and math, that if a student has to move from Dogwood to Southview, everything matches, that they jump right back in where.
And they are different strategies to catch different kids. And, you know, Panorama, our social workers, our counselors, they look at these surveys, and they do catch kids that would not otherwise be caught. But this is another strategy to use. You know, it's.
If I liken it to academics, right? So if our character trait is responsibility, those 4 different counselors are going to focus on responsibility. They're going to execute that differently. Just like reading strategies in a classroom, it might get executed differently. And just like teaching reading, you have to have multiple tools in the toolkit. And so that's all we're bringing. We're bringing a strategy where we know kids are talking, and it's how do we get that information to the right adult fast. That's also reinforced in Tier 1 lessons too. And to your point earlier, as Mitch said, I'm sure we can tighten up our Tier 1 counseling lessons as well.
For the budget for it, so it says it's paid out of the children's fund. Is this coming out of the money that we just approved and we would have to reallocate some of those funds, or is this in addition to those funds?
It was actually written into the original, because I did this back before we took this to the board the first time, so we actually did budget for this. So actually what would happen is, if we don't end up using it for Hope Squad, that money would either go away or get reallocated. I'm not sure how the Children's Fund would handle that, but it is built into the Children's Fund budget already.
Okay, so that's the amount of money is already built into what we just approved and what we're guaranteed to receive this next year.
Yes.
I just want to point out, Christina provided me an opening. I just want to point out under the cost and budget application, it says future years may be adjusted and approved annually. So going back to what we said earlier, there's no guarantee that this program would necessarily be funded next year, which is why it is important that if this is the program that we would fund, even absent Children's Fund, which is where I go back to, I need some verification here. I think this is something we're going to move forward on. I could be wrong. I don't want to get ahead of the votes. But if we do move forward on this, I really want to see something to be able to tell me that, yes, this worked. I understand referrals. The problem with that is you couldn't fail that test because you have no referrals now. So you would have to you're going to have more referrals. So I appreciate that, and I probably caught you. You probably hadn't thought through this one. So that's maybe one. I would love to see what does Smithville or Liberty or the other folks that use this, what are they using to show us that, yes, this is working exactly the way we want it to? Because for me, the test to this is, would I pay for this if it weren't for the Children's Service Fund?
Jason, I think that makes a lot of sense. And if this does pass, I would even love to partner with you, and I could even look into evidence-based things of how we can get that data, because, yeah.
We're going to talk about the anxious generation, but we're going to wait on that.
Now we are.
So this is just for 6th and 7th grade, correct?
The motion is for 6th and 7th grade, yes.
So do we feel like that then after 7th grade into 8th and 9th is, what do we do? So, I mean, I understand that we're a little nervous to enter into the elementary age, but the 8th and 9th graders, I mean, they're the ones that are like, okay, I can handle this. We won't tell anybody and we can fix this. So what do we do with them after 7th grade?
Jennifer, I don't want to speak out of turn, but my understanding is if this goes well, and we are seeing good results from it, then eventually we would want to entertain it. Is it correct to say replacing signs of suicide or even looking into other options?
In some schools, they do replace the SOS program with this. Some use both, but some replace it. And that's what we're talking about, is if this went well, then we would add on
And so
each year.
adding on, is that more money? Or is this just budgeted for the these
You know,
two?
what we saw was it really didn't end up, because you have to pay for the cost of the training, and so we would be training more people this year than we would be in future years, so that would be offset by the cost of the building cost of having the program, because we wouldn't have as many people that we would be training at that point. So it might go up a little bit, but it wouldn't go up a whole lot.
So next year, if we go from 6th to 9th grade, we're not going to be looking at a $40,000 bill. It doesn't necessarily double for every 2 grades.
Right.
Per year is about 2,000.
Okay.
The training of the staff is,
The curriculum is 2,000.
yeah,
The training that is official.
yep.
I feel like there are two things here that we're talking about. Well, the one is Hope Squad, and we, got the other thing, though, I want to make sure that I've heard it now around this room is I think the feeling is part of the concern here is I think this board, I don't speak for it, but what I hear is that it sounds like there's some concern over the Frankensteining, if you will, that there's a program and we're just kind of tacking it on, and it lacks a strategy of what are we doing, what is our plan for all of this from K through 12 or whatever it is, so that we know that this is the Kearney School District plan, whether it go back to Breed, whether it was Respect, or whether it's Hope Squad, or and I understand what you're saying is it's one tool in the toolbox, but I think understanding what our plan is so that something like this, when it's brought to us, we understand where it fits within the plan, as opposed to it's kind of the next program we're stapling on to the
So
paper.
that if the money is reduced, we know
Yes.
what's super important, what's the core, and what's
Yep.
on the sides, and then you
Yep.
know you're ahead of that situation
Yes.
happening.
So, and just to be really forthright, we've had in our strategic plan that we would have a team, and we would look at comprehensively at social emotional behavior throughout the system. It was scheduled to happen this year. We just had several other objectives that we couldn't get to it this year. We know that there's a definite immediate need. We tried another program at the middle school. That was not successful, so we know that there's a gap there. So our neighbors have had good experience, so we were trying to backfill what we saw as a need. But to your point, we recognize this as a systems need, and there is a plan to address it. It's been in the strategic plan, and it's a priority for next year.
For the budget, I know the last time it was discussed, I thought the last time it was discussed, it was 4 through 7. And now we have it on the table 6 through 7. So is that amount inclusive of 4 through 7, or is that amount 6 and 7?
It was for 4 through 7. It would be much reduced because the elementary would be that's 4 buildings of staff members getting trained, so it would be.
So theoretically, we could say, keep that same amount of money, and we could do 6 through 9 or 6 through 12, hypothetically.
I think we could do that, but I think that we need to bring the board back to remember what we do.
Yep.
We are not to micromanage programs. A program has been brought to us, well-researched by our staff, and I'm not speaking for the entire board, I'm probably speaking for myself here, but also to try to remind the board. We have professionals that have brought us a lot of information. We've asked them to bring us information again. And I think that we probably need to come back and focus on, at this point, not the cost, because that's their job, is to figure those things out, but whether we as a board are willing to support the current motion as it is. Certainly, all the questions are really good. I'm not trying to say that to supplant that, but I think these are the professionals that implement, and so we're just being asked to approve a particular program, and some of the questions that are now coming up, I think, can and should be addressed maybe in a little bit different way, in more of a strategic planning type situation. And certainly, we can keep asking a lot of questions, but I believe, and I don't want to speak for the one who made the motion, but I believe that the motion was brought as it was because of recent conversations. It was felt that this was maybe a good starting point that we could get support from the board to land on. And then we would continue to evaluate, just like we do everything else, evaluate what we do to see what makes the most sense. So,
I think the question, though, is just what is the recommended age from
I believe the recommended age, it was in the original motion that it starts at 4th grade. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, and the data is telling us like 10-year-olds is where we're really starting to see concerns. And all of us know that from the daily work that we do. So I would say 4th grade on, but I don't know what's on the table tonight.
Any questions? Okay, great. We ready to vote or any other? I guess I would just add, just since you brought it up, obviously I was someone who voted for it the first time around. And I've tried to make the point to talk to a lot of folks. Dr. Miller and I did have a chance to talk to some folks directly earlier this week, and I talked to a couple people in a couple of other districts that are looking to expand their programming. Sure, it is fairly new for some of the districts around us, from what my understanding is. But the research is there, and budgets aside, I think whatever we can do to help our kids is important. And it's important to look at the long term in terms of funding, but not to do something today because we worry about funding in 2 or 3 years. I understand that's important, but I just really think it's important that we start this program at the point that we can all agree with today, and then we look to our professionals for continuing evaluation and to bring us good information about it.
I'm okay with that. I would emphasize a different point than what you did, though. I would emphasize that it's an opportunity to see if it does work and to get our own view of it rather than having to talk to others. And so I think it makes sense to step in and then evaluate where we were. And that's, as if it's a pilot project, I'm less concerned about it. Let's see if it works.
Okay. Ready to vote? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it very much. Have fun. Approval of strategic plan update for 22 to 27.
Move to approve the update of strategic plan for 2022 and 2027 as presented.
Second?
So before you, you have a revised 2-page document. We have 4 goals in our strategic plan, and I'm going to kind of flip over. Yep, climate and culture, academic success and student support, responsive leadership, community engagement, and exemplary and valued employees. We had 4 objectives under each particular goal area. And one of the things we did was we streamlined, for example, under the first objectives, we had 4 objectives, and it really felt like we had 3 separate objectives on our survey measuring belonging. So instead of having really just truncate that down to just focus on belonging under objective 1.2. Similarly, under academic success and student support, we went from 4 objectives down to 3, and we combined the first 2 objectives to focus on academic performance. 25% on high-stakes assessment, and also measuring student achievement. Under objective 3, again, we just pared back one that really kind of measured whether patrons felt like engaging with Kearney School District about major changes and initiatives. And then objective 4, we reduced that as well down to 3 objectives. What we did was we removed one objective that really looked at unique training to a classification of employee groups, because we felt that that fell under objective 4.2, whether we offered a supportive work environment. So again, not a lot of changes. What we tried to do is just streamline, and a lot of those redundant survey questions will also be data points when we report back baseline information to you at our next year's meeting. Any questions on that?
Questions? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you. Approval of salary schedules for 25-26.
Move to approve the administration, professional, certified, classified, extra duty, and miscellaneous salary schedules for 2025-2026 as presented.
Second?
We are pleased to bring you our recommended salary schedules for the 25-26 year. Dr. McMains does an outstanding job working with the Salary and Benefits Committee. Their team meets throughout the course of the year. This recommendation is coming to you late because we're continuing to watch kind of financial impact coming out of Jeff City and really understanding, getting a more clarity on what that would look like. But I'm going to have Dr. McMains walk you through that recommendation.
So as you see, this gives our classified staff a overall increase of 4%, and that includes their step in the salary schedule. The range for our classified staff would be anywhere from 3% to 8.9% of a raise. Certified is 2.8 to 7.5 for a overall 4.1, and then our professional administration salary schedule is a pretty much a straight 3.25 across for all administrators. I will say that I think in our board update earlier this week, last week, I sent a chart to you where our neighboring and our market districts are as far as the beginning salary schedule or their beginning teacher salary throughout. And I would say this is the first year that I've seen teachers leave us for money since I've been here. And I really feel like, and it's part of our strategic plan to remain competitive. You know, Kearney is a wonderful place to teach and work, you know, as a classified or certified. We have a great community, we have amazing students, we have amazing people to work with. But at the end of the day, people need to take care of their families, and when they can make, you know, $10,000 more in another district, they're gonna leave us sometimes. Not always, and it's not always money, but I think this schedule keeps us very competitive with our market districts and in the metro for the most part. But there are some districts that are making some big moves around us that they're starting to take a couple teachers from us, and we have really good staff, and this is going to help us keep them.
The other thing I'd like to point out on the classified schedule, the first column has been moved so that it exceeds $15 an hour. That was a pretty big step that we wanted to make sure that we beat that threshold.
Any questions? Right, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Approval of the employee manual.
Approval of the 2025-2026 employee manual as presented.
Second.
I had sent you these updates earlier, some red line items here. The changes are relatively minor, and also the discipline handbook changes are located in the employee manual. Those will be transferred to the parent and student, are already actually in the parent and student manuals as well. Most of the updates were names, dates, minor changes, some redundancies were removed. There were a few policies or practices that we weren't employing that we had to change. With leaves and things like that, but no major changes. All the policies have been updated from EGS. Really appreciate Don Coonrod, Leanne Bradbury, Becky Bergkemper's help in compiling some of these changes. This is always a team effort, and along with our admin team, a lot of eyes get put on these handbooks because, you know, these are our policies and these are what guide us, and we need to make sure they're accurate and they're usable and they're what we're using day to day. Any questions about any of the changes?
Dr. McBain, do you print these?
We do not print these any longer. They're digital copies. Now, if a parent would request or a staff member requests a printed copy, we absolutely would grant those. But we no longer send these out in, used to, you'd send off to our printers and they had to be done at a certain time to get them by the beginning of school. We no longer do that. They're distributed, digitally.
118 pages. I was just making sure we weren't.
We're not. We're not cutting down trees, Mr. Clint. No.
Several reams.
Okay. And for those of you who are new, you may or may not know, these were overhauled 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So that's why we're seeing minor changes, because we had your first year, that was your life, wasn't it? A lot of it.
That's a big undertaking to redo a handbook, yes. But again, we had a big team working on it, so it made it lighter work.
Yes. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right, next is the student parent handbooks.
So a lot of the same sorry.
Move to approve the 2025-2026 student parent handbook as presented.
Second.
Slow, sorry.
No, I'm just fired up to get you guys to approve these handbooks. Student parent handbook, very similar. This was an overall building admin team project. A lot goes into this, and so we've had new administration come in. Some of the procedures have changed. Policies have not changed. Again, minor changes with board member names, dates, lunch prices, that type of calendars. Those have all updated. But I can't thank the assistant principals and the principals enough for going through this with a fine-tooth comb. We always find something. We have dozens of sets of eyes on this every year, and we always find something every year. They're like, man, we've just seen this again. So, and this also gets vetted by our attorneys. Madeline Garrett, one of our attorneys through Ed Council, she hits this with us, helps us with this every year, and it's a good process. It like you said earlier, we revamped these 2 years ago. A lot of discussion then, but hopefully moving forward, we're just shaping and making minor tweaks to do the best things for our staff and our students.
Questions? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next, we have an agreement with Houston Stewart Consulting.
Move to approve the agreement with Houston Stewart Consulting as presented.
Second.
Before you, just a contracting agreement, really to provide some assistance with strategic communication. Happy to answer any questions you might have regarding that.
Which funding bucket does this come out of?
You mean just whether it's just
Is it-
general fund?
Is it personnel? Is it the teacher? Is it Fund 1, 2, 3,
That would
4?
be Fund 1,
Okay, which is what?
general fund, the incidental fund.
Okay.
That's where it would have to come out of, this type of service, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Questions? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 2025-26 lunch prices.
Move to approve lunch prices for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
Second.
Questions?
I don't see cookies on there.
You don't see cookies on there as well?
My kids have lots of cookies on there.
Okay.
Those Krispy Treats.
It's just a 10-cent lunch increase. We just wanted to make sure that we publicly stated that, so people were aware.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Over $50,000 purchase from McConnell.
Ratify the $50,000 purchase from McConnell Associates as presented.
Second.
This information we provided to you, this is a ratification, and this is really regarding concrete work that's and asphalt work that's happening here. Mr. Nolan would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
This does not appear to be coming out of what I would consider to be the normal funding stream. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so this is part of our Mosaic lease, and Eric, so we had remaining funds in that lease, so we elected to utilize that and get the parking lot up to date. Eric, did you want to add to that?
It was, this parking lot curb system, specifically deterioration, was identified by McConnell as one of our needs. As we were identifying what was going to have to whittle off of the original asphalt project to get down to a reasonable amount that we can afford to do, we were able to pay for this from the out of the original loan amount from this building.
Does that mean, though, that we're extending the loan, or would it have been money that we would not have borrowed then? Maybe I'm dense, but it's not computing for me.
So when the original loan amount was, we were under that when the building was finished, and there's still within the agreement, and Ginger, you correct me if I'm jumping any time, when the original building was finished, the amount that we had left over allowed us to take care of things that came up that we're still dealing with this building. HVAC system malfunction, upgrade, that kind of thing, plumbing, and this falls in that category as well.
But
So
was
that
it money that was already borrowed, or we're now going back and?
already borrowed?
Okay.
And there's still remaining funds left in that lease.
So we weren't paying interest on the amount, on this amount because we hadn't borrowed it yet or hadn't used it yet. That right? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? All right. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Heartland Business Systems? We haven't done this one, sorry. Another McConnell, sorry. It's the same. Another McConnell.
Move to approve the over $50,000 purchase for McConnell and Associates as presented.
Second.
Do you have any questions regarding?
I do.
Okay, go for it.
One of the things I heard, so this falls in the hearsay category, which is my favorite category. There's concern that we seem to pave the high school parking lot a lot. And so is that something that you would agree with, or is it something that we need to do because of other reasons that maybe not be immediately understandable to the general public? Or would you push back and say that they were drinking that day?
I don't know about that part.
I'm giving options.
I don't think you would say that.
So there is parking lots that probably appear to be paved, and they have a seal coat put on them more frequently, and that extends the life of any asphalt. If you can put that seal coat on, and that may be what they're talking about, because it comes across and it's straight black, and then you put the paint on for the lines, and it becomes a nice crisp.
So it's actually not being repaved, it's just being resealed.
Yes, more than likely. Now, parts of the high school has been repaved, and it's just, as McConnell works with Jeremy and the maintenance crew each year to identify our areas of need, then they do mill down what's needed in certain areas. But then once they would, if they mill down, 200 square feet, but the whole surface gets seal coated, that may appear what they're talking about.
And I assume that parking lot gets used more than any other with the number of events?
You are correct.
Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Now Heartland Business Systems.
Move to approve the agreement over $50,000 for the Heartland Business System as presented.
Second.
And you've seen this in the past. We contract with 3 technology specialists with Heartland that do an outstanding job, and Ryan's happy to answer any questions if you have any. They do great work.
Couldn't do it without them, right, Ryan? That's right. Okay. All right, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right. Board representative for the Kearney Advanced Enterprise Zone.
Move to approve the appointment of Darlene Bailey as board representative to the Kearney Advanced Enterprise Zone.
Second.
Questions? All in favor? Opposed? I'm voting for that one.
It's yours.
I voted twice, actually.
Did I miss one? No. Move to approve the appointment of Nick Vasquez to the position of liaison to the Kearney School District Education Foundation for the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
You're going to vote?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Why not?
All right.
I'm here.
Now we do MSBA delegate.
Move to approve the appointment of Jason Clint as the MSBA delegate for the 2025-2026 school year for the Kearney School District.
Second.
I'd like to make an impassioned speech against this, but I feel like the die is already cast.
All in favor?
Too late.
Opposed? Thank you.
You voted,
I
Jason,
didn't.
you're
I voted-
abstaining.
I
Okay,
abstained.
thank you. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Okay, appointment of a new board member.
Move to appoint Jacob Klingsmith to fill the current board vacancy for the remainder of the term.
Second.
Questions? Just make a few comments. We had, as I think most people know, we had 10 candidates for this position initially. And we narrowed that down to 3 individuals who were at our last meeting to interview with the board, and they submitted additional information. As a result of that, I guess they did. They brought the same information. But anyway, it's been an interesting process, as you all know, that this is a little different because this is all a very public process, even though it's a personnel process. And so, and usually folks are elected. So I want to thank everyone who was part of the process. Jennifer, you're here tonight, so thank you specifically since you're here. We had 10 certainly qualified people, but we had 3 particularly qualified people to be our finalists who interviewed with us. And we really appreciate everyone being part of the process. And I want to, again, thank all of you for all of that. And thank you all for your time as we navigated our way through this, because this is not something that the board does very often. But we believe it's important to have a full board for a lot of reasons. But this person will, if this motion is approved, this person will fill the term, and then that position will be up for reelection next April. So.
Madam
Other
President,
comments?
I would just say I congratulate you on a process that was well-run. I thought that was done well. I want to thank Matt Baker, who added some things that I think improved upon the process. And I would echo your comments that I thought we had 10 folks, frankly, that any one of them probably would have done a very good job. So appreciate that, and just kind of and hope that we never have to do that again.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Right. Thank you very much. I guess I will just add that the board member swearing in is at a public meeting. So at the next available public meeting where Mr. Klingsmith is available, he will be sworn in at that time. Board member comments. I would just like to say, and we knew that Jennifer was going early, but Ginger, I would just add my comments to the service that you have given to the district. I know when I came on the board 8 years ago, I heard the stories about how Ginger came in and did some amazing things in her first few years, because the district was in a position when you came on board where we really needed you, and you were the right person at the right time. And all the years that I sat on the audit committee, they would come in and say, Ginger's perfect and we don't have anything to talk about. There's some pretty big shoes to fill by the next person. So I sincerely thank you from my standpoint, and for all that you do. You're very quiet in what you do, and you do so much that I'm sure we don't know everything that you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ginger.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, important dates. June 26th, which is next Thursday, 7:30, we will have our budget meeting to close out the fiscal year, and to approve items to close out the fiscal year, expense items, and then we'll be presented with the final, at that point, 25-26 budget. That's right. For approval. June 26th is the last day of summer school. And July 16th, board members, remember to be prepared for a full day, as we will have a workshop that day. I believe we're going to start at about 11 o'clock. We're going to tour the elementary school progress and a variety of other things before our next regularly scheduled meeting that night. Miscellaneous.
Action for closed session to immediately precede the regular meeting in July, including any record or vote to discuss items and issues allowable under Section 610-021 of the Missouri Sunshine Law.
Second.
Roll call?
Matt Baker?
Yes.
Jason Clint?
Aye.
Christina Lindsay?
Yes.
Bree Switzer?
Yes.
Nick Vaskus?
Yes.
Darlene Bailey?
Yes. We are adjourned.